What's going on, y'all? It's Kilo, and we are back for another episode of the Regular Podcast on the Regular Network.
It's real.
And what's his name again? Kilo?
Shout out my Kilo, man. Kilo in the mother building.
What have you done, sir?
How y'all doing out there, my good people? How was your week? My week was cool, productive. I told y'all I've been doing this tech course, data engineering. I finished up it's a tech certificate, right? It includes like 16 different courses. So it's a real task, but I finished 2 courses this week. So that's a beautiful thing right there, right? But how's y'all week been? Have y'all felt like you've been accomplishing something? Remember I told y'all my goals, the last podcast of 2025, right? And this was part of my goals. So, I'm feeling more brown than ever right now, right? I'm feeling browner, more accomplished, right? And this is good. Small wins help us get to our big goals, right? How y'all been? Please make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment your thoughts below. Make sure you share the video if you see something that you agree with or you disagree with. Take a little screen share and post it up on your social media. Say, hey, man, this dude is an idiot. I hate everything he's saying, or I love everything he's saying, whatever it is, Take a little screen share, put it up on your socials. Let somebody know something about the Regular Podcast. Started a new Instagram page. Please go follow that page, The Regular Podcast, THEE Regular Podcast. The Regular Podcast was already taken by somebody that's inactive. And I didn't want to add a period or underscores in the name, even though I could have done that, but I didn't want to. So please go follow that page, The Regular Podcast. I'm starting to put content up there. My current page, like I said, it's like shadow banned, so I'm going to turn that into personal. I'm going to make it fully personal. All right. It's Black History Month. First episode of Black History Month is here. Wait, what's today? Today is the 7th. So I guess technically last week's episode came out on Sunday, but I didn't record it during Black History Month. This is the first one I'm actually recording in Black History Month. So I feel like we need to start out the right way, not with like a Black history fact, but something that I think is very important, right? And I was talking to one of my homies about this, and they agreed with me that I should talk about this on the podcast. This is one thing I think is major, and every Black American should know this, right? Hold on. Before I even go into this topic, let me just give a brief rundown of the history of Black History Month. I'm not reading a full article, but I want to give a description, just the title, show you how it got started. Okay, let me just briefly, because we got to understand what we're dealing with here, right? It started out, Black History Month actually started out as Negro History Week, right, in D.C. Let me read this. The precursor to Black History Month was created in 1926 in the United States when historian Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, that was an organization, announced the second week of February to be Negro History Week. This week was chosen because it coincided with the birthday of Abraham Lincoln on the February 12th and that of Frederick Douglass on February 14th, both of which Black communities had celebrated since the late 19th century. For example, okay, right? So this is the origin of Black History Month. It comes from Negro History Week, and this was about essentially recognizing and celebrating Black American achievements specifically because other historians were writing it off as if it didn't happen, or they would erasure, right? They were pretty much acting like Black achievements weren't happening. And at that time, they were doing the things at that moment, and it was being erased, right? But there were things that were far before that, right? Because they love to act like Black people did nothing before 1865, right? Like everybody was a slave, and we did absolutely nothing. But that kind of tricks us now into believing, before Black History Month came around, that tricked us into kind of internalizing the fact that we were nothing before slavery, right? And that's just not the case. Even in America, there were Black people making achievements, inventing things, doing a lot of things, and there were a lot of free Black people all over the place, right? Even in what's considered a slave state, there were free Black people in the South, and a lot of the northern states didn't have slavery at all. So there was free Black people in America, right? So starting there, I want us to understand the history of Black History Month. And it's not to, they got this whole thing going with this diaspora war. It's not a diaspora war. It's just a Black American thing. It's not to say nobody else's history matters. No other Black people's history matter. Y'all history does matter. But Black History Month in America is about Negro history, which is the American Black history or Black American history. Okay. So that's not a problem to anybody else. Also, this is not the time to bring up the traumatic things that white people did to Black people. When I was growing up in Ohio, which is crazy because Black History Month actually was first celebrated in Ohio at Kent State University. But anyway, and there's a whole lot of Black history in Ohio, right? But when I was growing up, what they used to love showing us in the Youngstown Youngstown City School District, they used to love showing us the water hose videos and the dogs being like us being attacked, right? The boycott stuff, all the stuff that Martin Luther King had gone through in his life when he was protesting things. They used to show us that all the time. People sitting at diners and stuff being thrown on them. Rarely, and I'm just speaking on my city, rarely did they show us anything outside of that. Every year it was the same thing. Black people getting arrested for no reason, Black people being beat on for no reason, water hose, dogs, all of that. That's really all they used to show us, right? Now somebody's doing some landscaping outside, so hopefully it's not too loud. But anyway, I love the fact that now it's way more common for young kids to learn about many different Black achievements, right? I have a Black History series playlist on this network right on this channel right here that you can go check out. It's called the Black History series. But if you go look at the playlist, we have short videos that are made for kids, like small kids, ages like kindergarten to 6th grade. Anybody can watch and learn from it, but it's geared towards those younger kids, right? It even has a quiz built in at the end of the video for the kid to learn. It's just a 1-question quiz, but, just ask a question about something that I talked about earlier in the video, right? These videos are no more than like 5 minutes. Short videos, you can go in there and learn about them. We have a video about Mae Jameson. We have a Claudette Colvin video. We got a Benjamin Banneker video, Thurgood Marshall, Wes Moore. There's just a few videos. Lonnie Johnson is on there, Robert Smith. Just videos that you can just go ahead and watch or show your kids and they can learn something from it. Let me get on to what I feel like is important now. Okay. One of the things I feel is the most important things that we as Black Americans can do and what we can do for our family and our community is to learn our direct lineage, right? Genealogy. When I say learn, I don't mean like just generally using the term, oh, my ancestors died for this, but you're talking about people that are not really your ancestors. I'm talking about our direct family member, people that we directly descend from, right? Our bloodline. It is highly important. People love to tell you, Black people, Black Americans, y'all don't know where y'all come from. If you don't know where you come from, it's only because you have not looked it up or you haven't talked to your elders to find out, right? We do know where we come from. A lot of us, the ones who care, we know where we come from, and it's very easy to find out if you don't know right now, okay? So this is one thing I think is important. I think it's important for every generation in our Black American families to have at least one person that is like the family historian, right? The person that goes and talks to all the older people, documents what they're saying, the ones who go find documents, document it all, download all the documents they can find and archive it, right? Every generation needs at least one. I took it upon myself to be that person for my family, right? So for the people who are interested in doing that, but they don't know where to start, this is what I'll say. This is where I'll say to start, right? The first thing you want to do is find the oldest people in your family that can remember the history, right? Can remember their parents, can remember their grandparents, remember where they were living at, probably remember where their parents were born at. Find that person, right? Normally that person is probably between age like 55 and 70. But if you can find an older person, that's even better, who can remember all this stuff, right? But I would say 55 to 75, find those family members that fall in between that age range, okay? Because if you look at like when they were born 75 years ago, the country was a completely different place. And they had a lot of elders that were still alive during that time that came from the 1800s. So if you find a person that's like 75 years old, they can take you back to the 1800s just based on people they personally knew in their own lifetime, right? All right, so that's the first thing. You want to talk to the elders in your family. Now, I say it's best to go with grandparents, right? Either a grandmother or a grandfather, great grandmother, great grandfather, stuff like that, right? The direct people. Aunts and uncles are cool, and older cousins are cool. Excuse me. But when you start to mixing in aunts, uncles, or older cousins, you start to run into situations where they're naming people they are related to, but they might not necessarily be related to you, right? And sometimes a lot of people didn't track it on that level where they know exactly who's related to who, right? So if they get the name of their parents, they might not remember if that person is a direct line to you or not, right? I know some people are thinking like, why wouldn't they know? But some people really don't know, okay? So it's best to go grandparents. If you start talking to a cousin, they're naming people that are near and dear to them. They're not always giving you what you need, right? So they'll give you people that are really not related to you, okay? So, and some people get the name as step parents and like, cause, oh, this person raised me as my dad. So it's good to recognize those people, but that's not who you want. That's not who helps you put together the pieces of your own story. Okay. Now you want to start with the oldest people in your family, grandparents, all this type of stuff, right? You want to ask them, where were you born? First of all, right? Let me back up a little bit. Okay. One of the greatest tools that you're going to have in this research that you're going to be doing is the U.S. Census. Okay. For the most part, the U.S. Census begins to heavily track Black Americans in 1870. Okay. And then census reports are not released to the public until so you have to go 70 years back. So from right now, the most recent census that's out in public right now would be the 1950 census. Okay. So it goes in every 10-year block. So the 1950 census is the most recent one that's publicly available. Okay. So you need somebody to be able to give you names and locations of people before that time period, right? Or up into that time period that you can research going back behind that time period. If I'm confusing you, I'm sorry. There's better genealogy experts that are on YouTube that can help you. I'm just telling you what I did. Okay. You talk to the elders in your family. You ask them, first of all, where were you born at? And what are your parents' names? And give me all your siblings' names, right? You write that down, or you remember it, write it down, whatever you got to do. Then ask what are your parents' names and what are their siblings and where were they born at, right? Your parents' names. So you ask your parents or ask them what were their parents' names and their siblings, where were they born at and where were their parents' from, right? So if you're talking to your grandfather, ask your grandfather, where was your mom born? Where was her mom born? What was their name? What was the sibling's name? What were the spouse's names? Right? Generally speaking, if you can get your grandparent to give you their grandparents' names and locations, you can pretty much find the rest out on your own. Right? Now, if they know more than that, that's even better. But generally speaking, your grandparents giving you their grandparents' information will give you the key to everything else. When I say information, I mean it's best to have their siblings and it's best to have their parents' names and where they lived at. If you don't know where they were born at least where did they live at when they were growing up or where did they live at in adulthood, right? That's going to be key information that you need. If you don't have a good memory around this type of stuff or if you're very new to it, write it down. Personally, I didn't have to write it down because first of all, I know all my grandfather's brothers and I know, you know what I'm saying? But either write it down, screenshot, whatever they tell you, keep it, right? From there, you gather this up from your grandparent, your maternal grandparents, your paternal grandparents, as much as you can get, right? You have all your documentation, right? Now, this is from spoken word, right? That's the first step of researching Black American family. You need conversation. You need stories to be passed to you. They need to tell you where they live, where did they move to, how many places they moved. Black Americans, a lot of times you're going to find that I'm from the Midwest, right? Ohio, but you're going to find your research is mostly going to have to be in the South, right? But you're going to have to a lot of times start with the people that you grew up with up north or whatever. Their grandparents are likely was down south, okay? So the census reports that you're going to have to research are mostly going to be Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, maybe Florida, if depending on where your people is at, Virginia, Those are most of the places that all of us are going to be leading back to. Okay. You want to go to ancestry.com after you have all of your written conversations and talk to your elders. You go to ancestry.com, make an account on ancestry.com. They got a free trial, right? Do that 2-week free trial, get the highest account, whatever the most expensive one is, right? Get that one, 2 weeks, all right? You got 2 weeks to do as much research as you can. Don't sign up for the free trial until you're ready to sit down and really dive into it, though, all right? Do not sit down. Don't start that account until you are ready to dive in. That's like a good, because it won't take you, once you get rolling, it's not going to take you long to find a bunch of stuff. So just wait until you're ready to start, all right? You get on there, start researching. The first thing you want to do is you want to take so your grandparents' parents, right? Whoever you spoke to, their parents. That's where you want to start at. You want to go to look up wherever they said they were at and their name, full name, right? First name, last name. And then there's a location field, right? The first things that are going to pop up for you if it's pre-1950 is a census record, right? Most of the time, that's the first record that you'll see. The main records that you'll see are census records, marriage records, death certificates, military records, whatever they can find publicly, especially from World War II and before that, military records. You might find maybe some like address records. I was able to find phone book records for my family. I found land purchase records. There's a lot of different things you can find. Okay. When you come across one of these documents and it has the name of your family member on that document, download it. It does not matter what it is. It don't matter if you understand it right then. Just download the record, take a copy of it, save it, right? You might have to screenshot whatever it is. However, Ancestry allows you to document that, get it copied to your computer, okay? By the way, don't do this on your phone. Get a computer to do this, right? So you want to go get one of these records or get as many of these records for every single person that you know the name of, okay? When I say every person, I mean the elders, your lineage, okay? The best thing about the census records, though, is the census record is telling you head of household, the spouse name, and all the children that were alive at that time, okay? So that's the best record that you can find to trace people backwards, okay? Also, it's giving you a location. It's telling you exactly which county the census was done in, right? It tells you what county and what state the census was done in. It might even have an address depending on what, every state kind of documented stuff differently, but you might even be able to find an address. Okay. So you want to start there. Now, while you're downloading these documents, though, you need to be writing these names down because all these names that you're gathering, you're going to use these names for also further research in ancestry.com. Right. So let's say you got your grandfather. Now you found your grandfather's parents' name. Right. Your grandfather's mom's name is, Joanne. Your grandfather's dad name was Willie Earl. So now you see Willie Earl Johnson, Joanne Johnson. And one thing we know about naming, women took on their husband's name, right? So we know that we need to keep in the back of our mind, Joanne at some point is going to start showing up on the census report with a different name. Okay. So once we want to start searching for Joanne Johnson, right? We want to say Joanne Johnson was in Dade County, Florida in 1940, right? So she was in Dade County, Florida in 1940. I can't find her, but I found a Joanne, Freeman in that same place in 1940, but her name just wasn't Johnson. But you could see her age in the census is saying that she was only 16. So that lets you know, okay, this is probably her. And this is probably before she got married. So let me go ahead and download that record. And now when I found her at 16, I also see the parents that she lived with at that time. And I see where she was living at that time. Okay. So now this is you just start tracing them back. Now you found Joanne Freeman's parents' name, right? Right on that census record. You found Willie Earl Johnson was living in Columbia, South Carolina at that time. So he showed up in the 1940 census as 16-year-old Willie Earl Johnson. His parents was John and Hope Johnson. But Hope Johnson That's not her maiden name. So this is the mindset, right? This is the mindset you have to be in. When you see a man, that's the last name that he has likely that followed him all the way back to the beginning of his life. But that woman, you have to know that at some point, the further back you go, she'll have a different name and probably a different location than where you found her at when she was a married person. Okay. You have to be like a detail-oriented person. You have to be willing to deep dive. Things could get complex. And then another thing you have to keep in mind is sometimes, when they talk about being able to read and write, some black people could not read and write at that time, right? Some could, some couldn't. So when they would, and then they had these thick accents in the South. When they would go up to the post office to do their census back in the day, because it wasn't like it is now where you fill it out yourself, send it. They used to have to go to the post office to fill this thing out, right? When they had these accents, sometimes they would tell somebody their name. That person, it's up to that person's interpretation how they wrote it down. Or that person would say, hey, spell your name for me. If that person telling them didn't know how to spell their name, they might spell it different than even what your name is spelled now or anybody else's records back then, right? So you got to keep in mind that it's not always going to be an exact match when it comes to these last names, right? So let me give you an example. Like, you might have let's just say you have a name like, let me come think of an example. And a name like Hosey, right? It's one of my family names, Hosey, Hosey. Some people might have gone to the records, to the census and told them, hey, my name is Hosey. And the person writing it down might have said, how do you spell that? They don't ask the person, or they just write it down, Holsey. Right? And then another set of Hoseys that's related, but they went to another post office to do census, wrote it down Hosey. So now, or somebody might have write Hosee. So now you might have 3 different spellings, but it's the same family, right? You might even have a different spelling from one census to the next census for the same person. So 1920, this person's name might have been spelled Holsey. On the 1931, it might have said Hosey. So keep that in mind also when you're doing research. I'm getting detailed because I want y'all to really be able to figure out who your people are. I want y'all to really be able to think about all these different possibilities that come up. Not only, they talk about it, and not only was a lot of black people couldn't read and write, a lot of those white people couldn't spell either, right? So, the common misconception is that these black people left the plantations and they just took their master's name. That's not what happened a lot of times. A lot of times what happened is the white people said, you better not keep my name. I mean, it was a hateful thing going on. Black people were making up names. They were coming up with names. They might have took a name that was a European name, but a lot of times it wasn't from the plantation that they came from. They would just make a name up a lot of times, right? So, and it was based on whatever they felt like. Yo, I'm a carpenter. My last name is Carpenter now. You know what I mean? Like they were just coming up with names and then they would give everybody in the family their last name. So don't just think because you find a last name and you find a group of white people with that same name that they came from that plantation. Don't think that. A lot of times those white people did not want them black people carrying their names around, especially because they tried to act like they didn't own slaves. Once they lost them, they tried to separate themselves from it. Okay, a lot of times that happened. Okay, what are some other things that you might run into? Okay, so there's many different scenarios that you can come across. So please make sure you save every document that you find with your family's name on it. Even if at some point later down the line you realize, okay, that wasn't my family member, save it. It's better to delete it later because you don't need it than to not have it and forget how to get back to it. Right? Download everything with your family's name on it. From there, it's just a matter of going through it and analyzing everything. Right? You want to store it somewhere safe. You want to keep them. Some people might print everything out. I didn't print everything. Also, you'll find pictures of people, right? Pictures will start to show up in these searches too. You want to save those definitely. But anyway, some people print it all out and might put it in some type of photo album or a binder or something like that. I didn't print. I just keep it all on my external hard drive. But it's highly, highly, highly important for Black Americans to not lose track of our history, our lineage, our genealogy. You can't lose track of it. It's important. I was able to take my people back well into early 1800s, and then where the white and the black merged together through sexual assault and things like that, I was able to take the white family back damn it to whatever boat they came here on, right? Another common misconception is that Black people weren't, there was no records of black people because they was all destroyed or whatever. That's not true. Some places did destroy a lot of records, but some places have amazing records of the black people that were in their state, even when they were slaves. They have good records of it. So sometimes your research might take you to the white plantation that these people lived on. And then you might be able to see a roll or a slave record or a document that has a record of all the slaves that worked there. And you might find your family member's name there. You see what I'm saying? So you have to look for everything you can find. When you exhaust all your searches on Ancestry, now this is an advanced level. When you exhaust everything on Ancestry.com, from there, and when I say exhaust, I mean you not only went wide, but you went far back, right? You went as broad as you could go, and you went as far back as you can go. The census has been going on since the 1700s, so you can go back very far if your family was here, right? From there, now, and I haven't done this part yet that I'm about to say. From there, you can actually go to the counties where your family lived and go see if they have even more documentation of the names that you have. If anybody has it, it's at the county building. They keep a wild amount of records. There's national archives, and then there's like state and county records that they keep. From there, you might be able to find marriage certificates from going back to the 1700s. You can find pretty much, if it exists, it's at the county, right? Some libraries even have some of this. If you have a prominent family, then you can go to a library and find stuff from your family, right? But that's the next step. That's the most advanced step. When you start to traveling directly to these places to get to records, that's a whole different level. That's where you'll probably find the best actual slave records, at the counties. You might not be able to find that online. The counties might have the slave records. Okay. From there, it's just about how you want to share it with the family. If you can't find anybody that's interested, just document it and keep it for yourself. But at some point, people are going to start saying, dang, I wonder who this person is, or I wonder what they did back then. It becomes very important, right? So I just want to show y'all some of the documents that I found. Like I found some pretty cool stuff. I think it's cool, but I want to show y'all just in case y'all want to be motivated and really understand how cool some of this documentation can be. And the crazy thing about it is you could do this for other people too. If you got a friend that you want to help them find their family and all that, you could look their stuff up too. Okay, let me find something that's pretty old that I think would be pretty cool. Let me see here. You can find obituaries on there too. Yearbook pictures might show up there. Give me a second here. Let me go. I'll go. See, I'm looking at the 1870 census. Let me see. I found my a great-great-grandfather's draft record from World War I. Let me show y'all this. So this is my great-great-grandfather, right? He was born 1890. I'm saying great-great. This was okay. All right, let me think. Okay, my grandfather's great. So this is my great-great. This is my great-great-grandfather draft record right here for World War I. And it looks like he was drafted like pretty much right before the war was over. He was drafted in 1917. Let me see. Date of registration. Oh, he registered in 1917. They drafted him in 1918, I guess. He was born in 1895 in, I believe, Statesboro, Georgia. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. So he was born in Statesboro, Georgia, right? So yeah, he was 21 years old. So I'm just looking through, like, these type of records exist for many people, right? You can see this says married or single. He was single at this time. His race was Negro at the time. Let's see. Have you a father, mother, wife, child under 12, or a sister or brother under 12, dependent on you for support? That was even a question on the draft record. This is his registration. No. Do you claim exemption? No. Right? He's a natural born citizen. So they asked pretty much, what type of citizen are you? He's naturally born, natural born citizen. They asked if you're tall, medium, or short. They put medium for him. Slender, medium, or stout. Slender. Color of eyes, black. Color of hair, black. Bald, no. Like, they had it's just random records that you could put together and piece together about your family, right? It's pretty cool if you ask me. Has person lost arm, leg, hand, feet, or both eyes, or is he otherwise disabled? No. Right? In the 45th precinct. Let me see what else I can find here. That's pretty cool. I mean, I got a bunch of documents, but most of it is census stuff. Let me see. Let's see here. Okay. This one is very cool to me. This is very cool to me. Now, this is another part of my link. This is another side other than that one I just showed you. But this is actually a great, let me see how many greats. This is many greats back. But this is from 1875 where actually 1873, where this is pretty much like a deed showing that he purchased some land, right? He got a land grant and he was owning land, right? This is in North Carolina. Let me see if I can find exactly where this is at. But yeah, this is showing 200, I don't know if y'all can see that, 251 acres issued in 1875, right? He first started trying to get this in 1873, and it was actually issued 1875. 251 acres, grant number 521 in New Hanover. That's a county in North Carolina. And so this is Black history. When people start, hold on. When you get people to start talking about what Black people could and couldn't do, it's like, yo, even back then, some of our people fresh off the plantation was like, I'm going to get something for myself. Immediately, I'm going to get it, right? I need it ASAP. 251 acres. And this is my lineage, my direct lineage right here. His great granddaughter or his all right, so this man's granddaughter or great granddaughter is who I grew up with, my great great grandmother, right? She was alive till I was like in senior year of high school. She was born in like 1923 or something like that. And this is her grandfather or great grandfather that bought land in North Carolina 50 years before she was born. You see what I'm saying? So like you got to know your history. This kind of stuff can make you proud. Like, okay, my people came off the plantation and immediately got to it. You see what I'm saying? Like this is good, like family history stuff that you really want to, there's prideful things in this. You know what I'm saying? I could look at this. Let me show you something else from this same man. He wasn't playing no games. He wasn't playing. He was building his family, right? This is his marriage certificate in 1871 in North Carolina, right? He got married to Rebecca Everett, and now later on other census she became Rebecca Nixon, right? He's Eli Nixon in 1871. She's Rebecca Everett in 1871. They get married. And now everything going forward, so the census in 1880, 1890, everything after that is going to have them both as Nixon. So you got to know what you're looking at. So sometimes when you look at marriage records, also, if you can't find their name on the parents' name on the census, the marriage records will also have the parents' names on it, right? This is the actual marriage license, but there's a marriage certificate too. Marriage certificate and marriage license, two different things. The certificate will show the county, their address, the parents' names, who gives them away. It'll have the ages of their parents. It'll have the races of everybody. Like, this is information that I think is like beyond valuable. Okay. I really hope that somebody out there is, so like, look at it. Well, I'm reading, it's all in cursive, but it says Eli Nixon, son of Miles and Hannah Nixon. So if I didn't know his parents' names, I could find it right here. Rebecca Everett, right? Daughter of Aaron and Emily Everett. If I didn't know their parents' names, I'd get it right off of here and continue my research. You see what I'm saying? And this is in Hanover County, North Carolina in 1871. Okay? North Carolina kept amazing records for Black people. Amazing records. This is 6 years after the emancipation. Amazing records for Black people. So if you have family, if your family comes from North Carolina, you are about to be in for a good amount of information because you'll definitely find what you need. right? And I have family that owned a bunch of land in a few different states. I have family that owned a bunch of land in South Carolina, Sherrall, South Carolina. Have family that owned a bunch of land in Mississippi. Two parts of my family owned a bunch of land in Mississippi. So you just got to, learning that type of stuff changes how you see yourself. All right, now this is Black American history. Shout out to Carter G. Woodson for Negro History Week in D.C. 1926, and shout out to all of y'all for sticking with me as I talk about this, because I get fired up. I get fired up. All right, what's next on the agenda? Now, this is a hard pivot, but it's something I wanted to talk about. Hard pivot, but it's something I wanted to talk about. Okay, a young lady. Woman found frozen to death less than 24 hours after leaving nightclub, right? It's important to me because, let's just read. In Philadelphia, a 29-year-old woman was found dead in Fishtown less than 24 hours after leaving a nightclub. Makia Matthews' family is searching for answers as Philadelphia police and the medical examiner's office continue to investigate. Her family says they were told she was frozen to death, but they still have questions about how she traveled from Delaware Avenue to underneath an Interstate 95 overpass more than a mile away on the 2000 block of Richmond Street. Kia was found frozen dead outside, and I'm like, huh? I start screaming, recalled her sister, Bayina. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. Bayina Matthews. According to the family, on Friday, January 23rd, Makia Matthews went to a nightclub on Delaware Ave with two female friends but never returned home. Security at the club told the family she was escorted out for being intoxicated. Excuse me. The family says the friends told them they initially left with Matthews and then went back inside the club to look for something. When they returned, Matthews was reportedly gone. Makia would have never been missing if somebody would have stayed with her. She would be alive, right? Her sister said. The following day, Matthews' girlfriend reported her missing at approximately 4:25 p.m. About 20 minutes later, police say an officer responded to the area for a call and located Matthews' frozen body underneath the highway. That evening, the city under a cold blue with below freezing temperatures. Okay, I'm sorry. That evening, the city was under a cold blue with below freezing temperatures. They labeled it hypothermia. Matthews said. She has blunt force trauma to the left side of her face and bruises all over her body. Desperate for answers, Bay Matthews posted videos to TikTok that have gained more than 1 million views. I went to social media because I'm like, somebody got to hear this. Somebody got to know about this. Somebody got to get the truth, she said. The family says they are trying to retrace Matthew's steps on their own in an effort to piece together what happened. I'm not stopping until I get my closure about my sister. I need closure, Matthews said. Police say Matthew's death remains under investigation by the Philadelphia Police Department and the medical examiner's office. Attempts to reach the friends Matthew was last seen with have not yet been returned. All right. This is why this is important to me, right? Because as a person that used to get wildly drunk and go out with my friends, I'm going to tell y'all, everybody that I saw in the comments said pretty much the same thing. Why did they leave their friend? Even the part about we took her out, we went outside with her, then we had to go back in the club because we forgot something, we was looking for something. That's a horrible lie. Yeah, we went back in the club to look for something. When we came back out, she was missing. That's a terrible lie. Everybody that been to the club and had a friend kicked out and walked out with him, that's a lie. Ain't nobody go back in no club to look for nothing. You was not going to find it. And it didn't take all of y'all to go back in the club. If it was 3 of y'all, one get kicked out, one need to go back in. Whoever need to go find their stuff, you go back and find your stuff. And I'm going to stay with the homegirl that just got kicked out. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that, right? When somebody get kicked out, the whole group got to leave. That's just club etiquette. That's just crew etiquette, club etiquette, crew etiquette, whatever. Y'all making yourself look more suspicious because she somehow was out there and then y'all just left her, right? And then she got blunt force trauma to the face, right? Now, I will also say, though, being somebody that used to get drunk a lot and go out, it is likely not foul play. It's just bad club etiquette that they left her outside. When I say not foul play, meaning that blunt force trauma was probably her falling and hitting her face at some point. Because when you out belligerent and you drunk and you don't know what's going on, you fall. You tend to fall. That's just part of it. So I would say, even though the family, I understand fully why the family would be mad at the friends for leaving her. Don't try to paint it towards like this is some like thriller story where, the friends, whatever happened and they beat her up and then threw her on the side of the road or whatever. Like, it's likely not that. She got drunk. She probably was wandering down the street because her friends really abandoned her. Probably was roaming down the street and was walking down by herself and then at some point just fell. That's probably what happened. Now, of course, that a lot of other things could have happened, right? But I'm just saying that a lot of times drunk people do things that are unexplainable, and then the family is looking for somebody to blame. Well, really, sad to say, the only person to blame is that drunk person, right? They're the only ones that did something wrong in the situation. They roamed too far. Their friends couldn't find them. Now, I don't know why the people didn't report it until the next afternoon. I don't know what that's about. That's highly strange. And that makes them look even more guilty. However, that doesn't mean that they, hit her over the head and threw her, under the bridge. Saying, how did her body get a mile away? Like, that's very regular. Like, a mile is not that far, especially when you're drunk and don't know what's going on and just start roaming, start walking. You could easily walk a mile. That's a 10-minute walk. Maybe, whatever, 20-minute walk. That's no time, right? Now, I don't know if maybe she didn't have a coat on. It's club attire, I'm sure. So, and I've seen she was probably dressed more masculine based on the pictures I saw. So she probably had sleeves, you know what I'm saying? But still, it's below freezing in Philly in the wintertime. You see what I'm saying? And that was the week during a winter storm too. So it was extra cold. It was in the single digits wind chill down here in Atlanta. So I know Philly was crazy, right? So, but it's likely that she just roamed and wandered her way down there. Now, I want to always paint this message. These are young. They're a little bit younger than me, but that's still a little bit too old to not understand that you need to stay with your friend. 29 years old, and her friends was probably around the same age. Y'all should know better than not to leave your friend like that, right? Let me tell y'all a story about this situation I had. Well, I had a few situations where, like, not some kicked out of the club type thing, but kind of though. Yeah, I mean, we used to get drunk and be tripping a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't like, so one of the times, you know what I'm saying, a big fight, big brawl going on or whatever like that, and the cop is trying to get my brother, right? And I'm the type, if I go somewhere with you, we leaving together. I don't care what's going on. Or when I say leaving together, wherever we going together, right? Because I remember the old days when I was a kid, teenager and stuff like that. We would be out too late or whatever, and we get to running from the cops. And I think my brother Antoine might have got caught one or two times. I don't remember what it was, but we all taken off, and I'm like, I don't know how he getting caught because we all gone. But times like that, it's like when you think back, it's like, all right. So when I got a little bit older than that, I'm like, we're not leaving nobody. You know what I mean? My little brother done got caught up a couple times, so I'm with my brother Dev. We in Buckhead, and it get hectic. The cop, I'm like, now I'm pulling him, physically pulling him away. The cop, they trying to get him, security trying to get him and all that. I'm like, I got him. Let me take him. I'm gonna get him up out of here. I had to shake him up a little bit to let him know it's me. But whatever they was gonna do with him, I was coming with him because I'm taking him from them. You see what I'm saying? Now this probably sound crazy, like, oh, they just let you take him. Yeah, they did. Actually, they thought I was sober, but they thought I was sober because of how crazy he was acting. So they end up letting me take him. And I had to get at him crazy when we get to the car. Now, this is the thing about it is, I don't care how mad you is at somebody that you went to the club with or how annoying they been or whatever, you address it later. Get out the situation safely first together, and then you address it later. You bark on them later. You do that part later when you get to the house or to the car, wherever you're going. Do that part later. When we get to the car, I'm telling him, because I'm like, at that time, I'm probably like 9 months. Touchdown on the land. I'm like, bro, is you trying to get me jammed back up? I brought you out here with me. You need to be. I'm like, yo, I'm talking to him like, it's my little brother. So I'm talking to him like I'm his older brother. But I'm saying, I was talking to him like a teacher or something. Like, yo, you jeopardizing everybody because you acting a fool. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, that's how you gotta be. I did the same thing with Zeke. I didn't have to take him from police too. You know, I ain't had to take. It wasn't as bad with me and Zeke, but they wasn't trying to arrest him. But they was definitely trying to harass him and get. You know how sometimes the police will mess with you and try to get you to do something so that now they can arrest you. They was doing that. You know what I mean? But it was specific. Like we was together, but they was specifically messing with him because he was a little drunker than I was. So I'm just like, nah, we not doing that. I'm taking him down the street. We leaving. I'm gone. You see what I'm saying? And he had to get me up out of some spots before too. You see what I'm saying? But that's our mindset is we not leaving without these people that we came with. You know what I'm saying? I had a situation in D.C. I wonder if my homegirls remember this. Jasmine, my homegirl Jasmine. We in D.C. at Club Love, I think. Club Love in D.C. My Smoothie and T performing. This is a big night for the team, right? I'm on camera duty, but I brought my homegirls with me. Jasmine and Angel is with me, but I got all the homeboys.
We in DC chilling. Oh, it's good. We in DC. We at the Laser's Eye Hotel. We got the presidential suite. Liaison, you know what I'm saying. Shout out to my boy Kilo. You know, say word. All right, stop.
Right? So we in there vibing whatever is going on. Jasmine runs up to me and say, yo, they took Angel, right? She said they took Angel. I said, who took Angel? She was like, I don't know who they was, but they took her. They said she was smoking or something like that. They took her. So I'm like, where'd they go? She like, they went downstairs or they went in the basement or something. I'm like, hell nah. So I didn't even go grab none of my homeboys. Me and Jasmine go and we go find out where they took her, but it's like a basement garage type of thing. I'm like, they not even kicking her out. They was trying, I don't know what they was trying to do. If kind of, when I think back to it, I'm like, was they trying to abduct my homegirl? Like, what was they about to do? They had her like in a basement garage with, I don't know if these was VIPs. I don't know who they was. Promoters. I don't know who they was. But I went down there. I'm like, yo, that girl, she with me. Like, give her to me. Pretty much. I don't know if I said give her. I said, she need to come with me. Right? They was like, oh, she with you? I'm like, yeah, so I don't know what the hell they was about to do, but she was kind of out of it at the moment. But I'm like, yo, give me her. You know what I mean? They was about to take her somewhere in a car in a basement garage. So like you cannot leave. I'm heavy on that. I'm not leaving nobody. I don't care who you is. I don't care what you did up in here. We leaving this joint together. And however we leaving, that's how we all leaving. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody getting arrested with me. If I'm not getting arrested with them, ain't nobody getting into no violence happening with me unless we all in it. Ain't nothing like that going on unless we all part of it. You see what I'm saying? That's just how it's got to be. You cannot, this Philly situation right here can't be the case. Now, I got these type of stories because, like I said, I used to be doing too much with alcohol. You know what I'm saying? I too much, right? So this is why I'm comfortably not doing anything while I live in Atlanta. I've had so much fun. I mean, back in them days, it was fun. It was horrible decision making. I made a lot of bad decisions, but back then it was very fun. Like I had fun doing it. But one thing, no matter how drunk you was, whoever got blacked out first, that pretty much let everybody else on the team know you can't get blacked. That person is already like that. Y'all both can't be like that. Y'all both can't be blacked out in here. Not to say we was consciously saying that, but in our minds, we knowing, okay, my guy over there he's leaning on girls. Okay, I got to go grab him. Or he leaning on somebody and they getting frustrated. Let me go grab my guy. You know what I'm saying? Or they doing too much. They bumping into people. They getting aggressive. You got to run up immediately, go apologize. Hey, my bad. My man's is tripping. He drunky. And people will diffuse the energy so much faster if you with somebody that can like take care of you, help you out. You know, how many times you've been somewhere, not y'all, I don't know how y'all live, but how many times we've been somewhere and we just up in there bumping into people because we drunk and can't even feel it. You know what I mean? Especially if, like I said, me and Zeke running around, we both over 6'2", both got broad shoulders, both walked through and bumping into people. All right? Drinking, drunk. You need somebody to come save you. I had my little cousin, girl, female, Janess, had to get me out of something one time because I'm in there doing whatever I was doing. And she had to come grab, hey, sorry, y'all, please don't jump him. He was about to jump me, beat the shit out of me. I'm in there acting, I don't know what I was doing, honestly. But I woke up and I saw myself surrounded. You see what I'm saying? You got to have people with you like that to stop you from either doing something to somebody or somebody doing something to you. And they definitely can't abandon you when you get kicked out the spot. Young people, if y'all don't know club etiquette, I feel like y'all should know. Like I said, everybody in the comments on the post about this young lady, everybody said the same thing. So I'm assuming y'all know. But this can't happen, man. And then your friend freeze to death. Come on, man. We shouldn't be letting our people freeze to death, man. That means that she was literally abandoned in the cold. Abandoned in the cold. This wasn't no girl that was out here wearing a dress that was too short. Like I said, she was on the more like masculine presenting side. So she probably was dressed masculine with layers on and stuff like that. And if she was out there and froze like that, the friends was out of pocket. But I'm still not going to blame. I'm not going to say they didn't. I'm not going to say that they hit her with something and threw her right there, though. I'm not going to say that part. But it was 1,000% out of pocket for leaving her, though. 1,000%. Man, I had a good topic I wanted to get into, but I feel like I rambled about these last two things that I just spoke about so much. I might push this to next week. Man, I got a debate coming. I'm going to bring my man Joe on. Joe said that he would come on a debate with me because I just put a video out that I actually did a while ago, but I had it set to private for a long time and forgot about it. But I was talking about American laws being white culture laws. Pretty much our laws in this land come from what the white people at the time when these were written, what they felt was right and what was wrong. Not what is literally right and wrong, right? It's just what they think. And don't make it true. It don't make it factual. It's just what they thought. So, but there's some people in the comments who disagree with that take, right? And Joe is one of them. And because I know Joe and Joe is cool, Joe disagrees with it. So I said, yo, Joe, you want to come on and debate me about it? He was like, yeah, let's do it. So I'll probably save that debate for next week. Probably say that debate for next week. So make sure y'all come back to hear that. I think I'm good here, man. Good 50-minute joint. I end up recording on Saturday afternoon because last night I was hardcore trying to do my final project for this course and it was stumping me. Let me say something real quick. I have a hard time. If y'all ever run into me and you see me and I look out of it or something, I'm probably trying to figure something out. Look, I got a hard time not obsessing over problems that need to be solved and resolved. It don't matter what it is, right? It could be, it could be I tried to clean a stain up off the carpet and it wouldn't come up. So I'm trying to figure out what's the right chemical to use and the right heat. It could be something like that. It could be, I ran into a math problem that I just couldn't figure out and I walked away from it not knowing what to do. It could be back when I used to make beats. Dang, I'm trying to sample this one song and I can't get the tempos right and I can't figure out how to hit it with the drum the right way. It could be anything, right? If I run into something that I can't figure out or if I'm confused by it or anything like that, I obsess over it. I cannot help it. It's just like a personality flaw or a benefit of mine, however you want to look at it. It's very good when it comes to my professional life. It's very not good when it comes to like romantic relationships. But it's something that like I'm going to say struggle with. I can't say struggle with. It's just how I am. And I like being like that because I like to figure things out. But that's the case when I was doing one of my final projects Thursday night. And it was stumping me. I could not figure out why this thing wasn't working. And it's a Python programming thing, right? So it's a programming language that I'm just learning, that I'm getting new with, right? I'm just learning how to do it. And I'm like, why can I not get this thing? I can't get it. I can't figure it out. So then pretty much the whole Friday, I'm obsessing over it like while I'm at work, like, yo, I need to go figure out what was going on. So then when I finished working on Friday, then I sit there for a few hours on YouTube trying to see different approaches to tackle this problem. And I eventually I realized what was going wrong and I resolved it and finished my project and did great last night. Right. But I just my mind won't let me leave it alone. Whatever it is, I'm telling you, whatever it is. If I'm go to sleep and dream about whatever it is, I'm going to wake up in the morning with a solution. It don't matter what it is. Now, when you are a computer programmer, software developer, engineer, that's the best thing you can do is have a mind like that. I have to figure out how to not let it interfere with relationships. That's what I have to figure out. that thing in my brain that won't let me not obsess over problems is a huge issue romantically. You see what I'm saying? Because some things are not literally problems. They're just things that I don't like. So it's not really a problem. They're not really a thing that needs to be resolved. It's just something that I just don't like personally, right? So I just wanted to tell you that, man. That's why I moved the podcast to this afternoon, because last night I was obsessing over this freaking thing I couldn't figure out. You see what I'm saying? But all is well, because I got it figured out. I'm going to start a new course probably today, maybe. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But please make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment your thoughts below. If you have time, please do the survey in the description. Make sure you follow The Regular Podcast on Instagram, THEE Regular Podcast on Instagram. If you have any thoughts that you want to get to me, you can email me at regpodcast@gmail.com. What else? If you see me in the street, remember, you don't know me, you know. By the way, shout out to J. Cole. J. Cole just dropped his album. Shout out to him. Dang. I'll save it to next week. J. Cole's album is real good. I'm going to add a note to talk about this J. Cole thing next week. All right, peace. I'm gone.